Hello, people of the internet. The year 2020 is almost over, and I know what you're thinking. Thank God. This year was horrible. A global pandemic, lockdown, riots, protests, a literal invasion, and Seema auntie from Bombay. All of this in 1 year? Glad it's over. I get it. You just want me to blow up a giant 2020 with explosives, just like John Oliver did. God, that was satisfying. But I don't have the budget to do that. Maybe next year, if more of you subscribe to News Laundry. So pay to blow up giant ear signs and keep news free. Whatever floats your boat. I thought the best way to say goodbye to the horrible year of 2020 would be to remind you of all the noteworthy events that happened throughout the decade. You see, this year might seem a bit horrible, but what if I told you that there was horribleness spread out across the last decade in general? Yeah. So let's do this. Here is a list of notable events that transpired in the last decade, some good, some bad, but mostly bad. Our decade begins. It's 2011 and planking is now a thing. Rebecca Black is haunting us with Friday, Friday, gonna get down on Friday, and some middle class men have decided to do a middle class bachelor trip in Spain because YOLO. Maybe that was a sign too. Another thing this year gave us was an old man pretending to be the new Gandhi. And the UPA government is riddled with corruption allegations. Former Telecom Minister A. Raja was sent to Tihar jail in the 2G spectrum scam case. Then in April, Anna Hazare undertook a fast for the Jan Lokpal bill at Jantar Mantar, New Delhi, sparking one of the biggest protests of the decade, the anti-corruption movement. Over 1 lakh people visited Ramlila Maidan to show their opposition to corruption. The protests that started in April culminated in December with the Lok Sabha passing the Lokpal bill. This was also the year when Mamata Banerjee was sworn in as the first woman and the 11th Chief Minister of West Bengal. And as an aside, one of my favorite artists, Jagjit Singh, passed away this year. Rest in peace, good sir. Moving on to 2012. The year of Oppa Gangnam Style. This was the year when the world did not come to an end and we got the glorious movie defining nepotism, Student of the Year. Our sensibilities were subjected to ishkwala love type stuff which made you wish that the world had ended in 2012. Damn you global warming, get your act together. This year our courts were shining. Delhi High Court granted bail for Suresh Kalmadi in the Commonwealth Games scam 10 months after he was sent to jail. Right after that, the Supreme Court cancelled all 122 licenses given by A. Raja in the 2G spectrum case. Ajmal Kasab was hanged this year too, and as it turns out, he did not demand mutton biryani nor was he fed any. Fun fact, the public prosecutor Ujjwal Nikam later admitted that he spread this fake news to stop the emotional sympathy wave which was being created in favor of Kasab. Ah, biryani. It is truly the misinformation tool of the decade. This was really the year when the seeds of fake news ecosystem were planted because after an incident of violence took place against northeastern people in Pune, a rumor was spread over SMS and MMS. It said that people from the northeast would be attacked after Eid. What followed was a crazy exodus of thousands of northeastern people from Bangalore. The year ended on a grim note with the brutal gang rape of a physiotherapy student in Delhi, now known as the Nirbhaya case. The incident created huge outrage across the country. Public protests took place in Delhi where thousands of protesters clashed with the police. Now, all this time, I know what you're wondering. Where is Adarniya Modi ji? Where is he? Well, this was the year Modi ji got a political boost after he won his 3rd consecutive assembly election. Dankapati has entered our story, people. Let's come to 2013, the year of the Harlem Shake. This was the year our senses and sensibilities were assaulted with many crappy sequels. There was one with the forced plot twist every 10 minutes. Then there was one where Rakesh Roshan decided to put the entire Marvel and DC universe inside one person, his son. Oh yeah, and there was also that one where they copied Prestige and threw some super bikes and 2 Amir Khans in the script just for fun. This year, the parliament became kafi active after not doing much for the previous 2 years. They passed the Criminal Law Amendment Act in response to the Nirbhaya protests and also cleared the National Food Security Bill. The Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act came into effect. And Lokpal and Lokyukta's bill was also finally passed by the Rajya Sabha 2 years after the Lok Sabha passed it. Check out my episode on this. It's kafi detailed and kafi fun. ISRO made us proud by launching Mom into low Earth orbit. No, not my mom, the Mars orbiter mission. And on the other hand, India shut down its public telegram service. Half of the audience watching this must be checking their phone to see if Telegram, the app, has stopped working. No, people, the actual physical service was shut down. Calm down, you can still illegally download objectionable stuff on that thing. Speaking of objectionable stuff, this was also the year when Adarniya Modi ji was declared Bharatiya Janata Party's prime ministerial candidate for the 2014 general elections. Now we come to 2014, the year of the Narendra Modi. Apart from giving us our very own Lord and Saviour, this year also gave us a song that will be played on loop for years to come, just like Modi ji's speeches. This year, Yo-Yo Honey Singh saw bikini-clad women at a swimming pool and went, "Ah, blue hai pani pani, pani pani pani." Amazing observation skills. This year, Sahara India chairman and future Netflix documentary star Subrata Roy was arrested in Lucknow after the Supreme Court of India issued a non-bailable warrant against him. In another high-profile case, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Jayalalitha, was convicted by a special court of acquiring disproportionate assets. The Apex Court also declared that all 218 coal block allocations made from 1993 to 2011 are illegal, and it recognized transgender people as constituting a third gender. The parliament gave us a new state. The Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act split Andhra Pradesh in two and Telangana was born. This year, Narendra Modi-led BJP won the general elections, ushering in a new era in Indian politics. Modi ji also launched the Swachh Bharat mission and forced celebrities to post pictures of themselves sweeping the streets in order to express their undying affection for the new establishment. Because, their slogan is not pay to keep news free. Ours is, while they sweep the streets, we do sabki dhulai. The year came to an end on a horrible note though. 14 CRPF personnel were killed in Sukma district of South Chhattisgarh when a patrol team was ambushed. Another CRPF Jawan was killed when a grenade was tossed at a patrol in Pulwama district in South Kashmir. 3 civilians were also injured. In Arunachal Pradesh and Assam, 81 people were killed in attacks by the National Democratic Front of Bodoland. Now it's 2015. The phrase Netflix and chill has entered the lexicon of the internet. Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol foreshadowed the saffronization of the country through a romantic song, couching it in an overall terrible movie. And Salman Khan has discovered the subtle art of taking selfies. And of course they made a song about that too. Anurag Kashyap's Bombay Velvet was also released, providing a punchline to comedians for all jokes involving Kashyap. Prime Minister Modi went fast and furious and welfare on the country by launching 3 large-scale social security schemes. Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana and Atal Pension Yojana. The government also replaced the Planning Commission of India with the Niti Aayog for all their future planning and saving us from too much democracy. The Supreme Court was also kafi active after they declared Section 66A of the Information Technology Act unconstitutional and rejected the classification of Jat people as OBCs. In all the judicial excitement, the top court also declared the National Judicial Appointments Commission, which was passed by the parliament, as unconstitutional. Yeah, this was the bill that was supposed to make the judge appointment procedure more democratic, but the judges judged that this was not happening. Moving on, demonstrations demanding reservations for the Patel community began in Gujarat, and the resulting clashes killed at least 8 people. Another protest erupted in Nepal over the blockade of trade routes. Madhesi and Tharu ethnic groups blocked the routes by doing a dharna on the no man's land between India and Nepal. This was also the blasted year when we lost our ex-president APJ Abdul Kalam, who died of a cardiac arrest while giving a lecture at IIM Shillong. Rest in peace, Missile Man. Ah, sweet 2016, the year of cancelled currencies, endless queues, infinite confusion and Harambe. This was also the year when we got a song about sunglasses and a movie produced by Ekta Kapoor where Tiger Shroff flew around and kicked people. I mean, he flies around and kicks people in other movies also. So why not just make him a flying superhero, I guess. Genius. The year started with a sedition case being filed against Umar Khalid, Kanhaiya Kumar, and Anirban Bhattacharya for leading a crowd which raised anti-national slogans. In Kashmir, Burhan Wani, head of the militant outfit Hizbul Mujahideen, was killed by security forces. This sparked large-scale unrest in J&K, which led to a 53-day-long curfew and suspension of mobile services. Many civilians were killed and more injured in clashes. Several security personnel were injured as well. In 2016, multiple terrorist attacks were carried out on Gurdaspur, Pathankot, and Uri military bases. Soon after that, the Indian Army announced that it had conducted a surgical strike on terrorist launch pads on the Pakistani side of the LOC. Meanwhile, Gujarat's second favorite son did a massive surgical strike on telecom companies, and Reliance Jio was born. Basically, Reliance started their own Swachh Bharat initiative by sweeping the floor with other telecom companies. And then we finally come to the big daddy of all events in 2016. At 8 p.m. on November 8th, a wild Supreme Commander appeared on your TV and made his move by declaring that 500 and 1000 rupee currency notes will be invalid from midnight. Everybody believed him because, well, Prime Minister and all. Then chaos ensued. 2 days later, my birthday was ruined because I spent the day standing in line, and the next day, and the day after that too. Hashtag never forget. We come to 2017, the year of the Salt Bay, who applied salt to many economic wounds. This year, Bollywood didn't have money to pay lyricists because they just decided to remix old songs and shove it into shitty movies. They did it again and again and again. Meanwhile, Deepika Padukone looked drop-dead gorgeous as always. 2017 gave us the monk who became Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath. This was after BJP swept the state assembly elections with a majority. This year also gave us the historic goods and service tax, where the President and Prime Minister pushed a big button to start the game of economic roulette. Oh yeah, and the government did this fun little thing called electoral bonds, which is essentially a temporary special currency which can be used by political parties to hide the names of those who are donating to them. If you want to know more, you should check out our extensive, exclusive, explosive coverage on this. That's what you get when you pay to keep news free of influence of people who give donations to political parties and people who take those donations to form a government. So subscribe to News Laundry and help us keep it that way. That brings us to 2018, the year Thanos snapped away everyone's happiness. Surprised Pikachu face became a thing, and for some reason, people were making a lot of moth memes. This was also the year when Tiger Shroff learned some new moves and showed them off in his new training video called Baghi 2. Bollywood also decided to turn Sairat, one of the most iconic Marathi movies, into a Karan Johar-style nepotism orgy. First up, we were hit with a 11,000 crore PNB scam done by the future star of a Netflix documentary, Nirav Modi. Nirav managed to flee India and is now parked in one of those fugitive protecting island countries. You know, United Kingdoms. Thanks to this, the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act was passed by Parliament in order to tackle the situation. Meanwhile, an event was organized by the Elgar Parishad to commemorate 200 years since the Battle of Koregaon, which the British Army, consisting a large number of Dalits, had defeated the Peshwas. That event turned violent, resulting in the death of one. Scores of activists had the Jail Without Bail Law, UAPA, slapped on them. This is what is popularly known as the Bhima Koregaon case. In Supreme Court, Section 377 of the Constitution was read down, saying that homosexuality was no longer a criminal act or an offense. 2018 was also the year of MeToo, when India's sexual harassment culture was thrown at everyone's face. That brings us to the semi-finals of the decade, 2019, the year of the Narendra Modi, Dobara. This year gave us Baby Yoda and the chest-beating Pakistani cricket fan. And since one nonsensical festival of nepotism wasn't enough, Karan Johar gave us another installment. This was also the year when Bollywood took a highly misogynistic Telugu movie and turned it into a highly misogynistic Hindi movie. And all cringe lords of TikTok went, Adarniya Modi ji went super saiyan on the country and won a second term with a larger mandate, while Rahul Gandhi managed to lose his Ghar ki seat to Smriti Irani. Basically, one tight slap. There was drama that unfolded during the Maharashtra government formation, where BJP Shiv Sena alliance got majority in Maharashtra, but Shiv Sena broke the alliance and joined hands with the NCP and Congress to form the government. Some classic modern Chanakya moves were seen. 40 CRPF jawans tragically lost their lives in a terrorist attack in Pulwama, and India responded by conducting airstrikes in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The government decided to scrap Article 370 and turn Jammu and Kashmir into Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, two separate union territories. And they also cut off communication means of the population of the entire state, arrested a bunch of politicians, and turned the entire place into an open jail of sorts. The Citizenship Amendment Act was passed in Parliament, providing persons from Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan belonging to Hindu, Sikh, Jain, Buddhist, and Christian religions an easier route to citizenship on account of their persecution. This led to massive protests across the country, sparked by the fear that this is a move to disenfranchise Muslims. The Ayodhya judgment also came this year, where the Supreme Court adjudicated and said, Mandir wahi banega, in favor of the Hindu parties, and instructed the government to form a trust for building a Bhavya Ram temple. On top of all of this, a veterinary doctor was gang raped and murdered in Hyderabad when she was returning home. The 4 accused were nabbed and then killed in an encounter by the state police. The year ended with a ghastly attack on the students of Jamia Millia Islamia University by police officers who forcefully entered the campus and detained more than 100 students during the confrontation with the protesters. And now we come to 2020, the year when people wondered, Rasode mein kaun tha? They also senselessly spammed random videos and chats with Binod and gave the world a meme which pretty much captures what 2020 was all about. 2020 started with a bang when a group of really angry students stormed into Jawaharlal Nehru University campus and beat up people inside. All year, people have been asking, Komal Sharma kidhar hai? Without getting any real answers. This year, Arvind Kejriwal was sworn in as CM of Delhi for the 3rd time, and Nitish Kumar was sworn in as the CM of Bihar for the 7th time. The anti-CAA protest turned into an all-out riot in northeast Delhi. This was followed by a flurry of arrests by the Delhi police of anti-CAA activist students and opponents because of their alleged role in provoking the riots. We also saw a border skirmish between the Indian Army and the People's Liberation Army, which took place in the Galwan Valley in Ladakh. A standoff has since ensued, and while limited withdrawal of troops has happened, there is still no resolution yet. An infamous gangster, Vikas Dubey, went berserk and killed 8 cops in Uttar Pradesh. He was arrested later from MP and was killed by the police when being returned to UP. It was all an act of self-defense, of course. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. On top of this, there was the other small matter of a global pandemic hitting the country, forcing us into lockdown, completely wrecking the already flailing economy and causing one of the biggest humanitarian crises ever witnessed on planet Earth, and killed over 146,000 Indians as of recording this. Whew. That was the entire decade's recap for you, a snapshot into some of the defining events which I think we should all take note of and maybe learn from, maybe. If you think I've missed out on some event because this was not a comprehensive list, please leave it in the comments below. You know, I read your comments very obsessively. And now that we are starting a new decade, let's come together and make subscriber-funded media a sustainable model. Pay to keep news free, and a happy new decade to all of you.